We're live. My name is Jaylan. I am from One Brilliant Arc. I am an editor at our story studio, and I'm so excited to be here with Claudia Faith. Thank you so much for taking the time to be on our live. I'm so excited about this conversation.
Yeah. Thanks for inviting me. Super happy to be here and chat.
Yes, and thank you everyone for joining. So excited to see everyone here. I know that I am currently in North Carolina in the United States. Claudia, are you in Brazil? I thought I saw.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Right now I'm in an Airbnb in Brazil, and I think on the weekend when I arrived, I posted a note about it that they called it a chalet, but it really is a garage. So now I'm in a garage in Brazil, but and you know what? It's warm and nice, so I'm happy.
There you go. There you go. Well, and if everyone who's joining, if you want to drop in the chat where you're joining from, it's always really cool to see how many time zones we're jumping across. Um, But yeah, we'll get started here. We're going to be talking about, as you said, calling a garage a chalet. We're going to be talking about marketing, and how authenticity and storytelling can really supercharge your marketing by giving you better connection with people.
Mhm.
Um, so, Claudia, I'll just let you introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your journey and what was the turning point in your story.
Mhm. Yeah, thanks for asking that question. So my background is more of I'm an entrepreneur. I did work in startups all my life, although that's not true. I actually started at a consulting company at KPMG. I absolutely hated it and realized, okay, this world is really just not for me at all, and jumped into the startup world. And then founded my own companies and in something completely different. So I'm not a writer by training. I actually have a background in digital health, so I have a healthcare startup that I'm running. I am from Germany originally, but have been traveling the world in the last couple of years. And then, well, 2 years ago, my healthcare startup, we did a clinical trial and we just had to wait for the results. So we had to slow down on my startup and I had some time and I finally dared to do that jump that I wanted to do for 10 years and write online. And I started on Medium and people told me, hey, if you start right now from zero, don't do it on Medium, do it on Substack. And that's what I did now was May 2024. And I started writing there. And yeah, that's my only platform, started from zero. And I'm very happy that I chose Substack to be my online home.
Wow, that's so cool. I also, our story studio started publishing on Medium and quickly switched over to Substack,
Oh,
mostly because
yeah.
we heard just the community on Substack was a lot more geared toward authenticity. And I'm curious
Yeah.
if authenticity had any bearing on what you think helped you become a successful platform builder. I also want to say
Yeah.
hi to people jumping in
Mhm.
and saying where they're from. We got Mexico and Virginia and the UK. So thank you everyone for joining us. Sorry, Claudia, I'll let you go ahead.
No, I love it. I love if those live sessions are interactive with people in the chats. I think this makes it so much more fun. Actually, Chris also just wrote, "Hello, Claudia. I listened to you for the first time yesterday." Yeah, so cool. Thank you for being here and for writing and everything. Um, what was your question? So sorry.
Sorry, about authenticity. Do you feel like that had any
Yeah.
bearing on you becoming a successful platform builder?
Yeah, it's so nice. It like every time somebody calls me successful, it's so because you know that's not the self-talk that you do. So thank you for that first of all.
Of course.
And
Well, 14K subscribers. That's congratulations.
yeah, thanks. Yeah, that's awesome. No, and I actually think like authenticity is one of the main things you can bring to the table, especially nowadays, like with AI. So I love AI. I use it a lot. I mean, I co-founded something a couple of months ago, Cosora, which is all about AI and learning AI together. Um, but in a world where everybody is writing, copy pasting everybody else's things, putting it in there and just ask it to rewrite it, like we just end up by hearing the same stories and the same experience and we read the same words over and over again. So I think the more you can bring to the table from, yourself being your authentic self, um, the more you're going to stand out and the more you're going to succeed. So things like Substack Lives, or notes where you share something vulnerable or just an experience that you've had, is the thing that I think, will decide who's gonna, if that's your goal, grow on Substack or who will be successful on Substack.
Yeah, for sure. I love how you said that. It's so validating for those of us who are just tired of performing. I
Mhm.
think a lot of writers from the world that I come from, I specifically started as a freelance editor, and now I'm working with some other writer, editor, filmmaking friends to build a story studio that specifically helps amplify authentic voices who have felt silenced in the past.
Mhm.
And I know
Yeah,
that from the writing perspective, like people who started as a writer, marketing is like the most challenging thing for them because that's not their natural, it doesn't feel natural to them. And telling them that you can actually stop performing as someone who is like a marketing guru, you can just be yourself and you can
yeah,
write from the heart still. And that's going to actually have a stronger connection with people than if you were to pretend to be something that you're not. And I think that you kind of showing the way is so validating for those of us who are, one step behind and trying to follow in your footsteps. So thank you so much for
yeah,
being real.
yeah. No, thanks. I think I mean, first of all, I love what you do. I think it sounds very, very cool. Um,
Yeah.
and and yeah, and I think, and it doesn't take so much, I feel sometimes I tell my people on Substack, really just try to be less generic because so 2 years ago it was different, right? When I started, I feel the content that where you could still get a lot of people interested was like how to content, generic motivation. But I think those things are way harder now because, like you could just go anywhere online and find yourself answers. So it's a little bit harder, I think, if you don't want to share so much of your personality online, to really grow, because it is true that like things like motivational content works if you have already kind of a name to yourself, right?
Mhm.
And to get there, I think is really the main part that helps you is just being yourself and showing up as yourself, because that's what makes you unique and that's your superpower.
Definitely, definitely. Scott Perry is definitely correct. Integrity and intention is definitely a winning combination on Substack. I love that. That's so true. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing. Um, it's just really exhausting when you're trying to perform as something you're not. Content creation is already such an exhausting task because you're just
Mm.
inundated with the entire online world of content every day. So I feel overwhelmed trying to do it. And I feel like trying to do it when you're performing in a role that is not you is just a
Mhm.
quicker way to burn out. So
Yeah.
do you feel like you have a pro tip that you can share with our listeners, specifically writers who are looking to build their platform in order to make money from their writing, um, but don't want to burn themselves out?
Yeah, I would say, and I didn't do that enough in the beginning, but really create those early connections to other writers, join communities, write a message here and there. And I know, like, I'm also an introvert and I'm also not very good at this. That's why I also didn't do it right from the beginning. But that just helps you to also feel more, it's less burning out, because at the end of the day, you write to another human being. You can just say, hey, I'm new to this. I would love to, like get your thoughts on this and this, or do you have any idea of communities I can join, or, like really focus on that human connection in the beginning. And Substack makes it quite easy. You could just, reach out to people that you find inspiring, let them know about it. And, and yeah, so connecting with people, I think, is my go-to tip to not burn out alone and depressed when nobody interacts with your notes for the first 3 months. Yeah.
That's so true. Thank you so much for
Mhm.
that pro tip. I appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, again for sharing your thoughts in the comments. Carolyn mentioned, I think when we've got to the age of 63 feeling uninteresting, it makes the transition to recognizing your story is of value doubly difficult. I also agree with that. I feel that. I think that Substack is so cool because I see such a community of people who are realizing for the first time they've gone through their entire life thinking that they don't have anything to offer that's unique that the world hasn't seen before. Um,
Yeah.
but we're starting to see people come back into their voice and discover their voice for the first time and realize
Yeah.
that it's their lived story that's really the power of connection that they have with people.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? I mean, there are people who are way better than me at doing this, but they are really good at, I have some brilliant people in my community who are really good at storytelling, and they know exactly how you can look at your life and everything that you've been through and just tell it as a story. And all of us have things worthwhile sharing, and I think realizing that actually also to Carolyn, realizing that, you have so many things to tell and share and, spread to the world. That's the first thing. And I think Substack actually encourages people to do that and then find either your way yourself or find other brilliant people to help you really telling that into like tiny stories if you want to share it on notes or into bigger stories if you want to do it on posts. But I think Substack right now is really beautiful for that.
Definitely, definitely. There's such a beautiful space here for people to discover their voice and their story for the first time. Something
Yeah.
that we try and help people with at One Brilliant Arc is teaching them how to use story structure in order to communicate their story in their authentic voice, because story structure really is just a universal language that we all speak. We all
Yeah.
understand the emotional resonance of story. So, how did you use storytelling to build your platform?
Um, I mean, I would say it was a journey because it was also not clear to me right away, like how to do it, and what's, also I feel like sometimes we get too much in our minds. Like when you're just starting writing and starting being on Substack, you kind of overthink everything. But the truth is, maybe a handful of people will read the first things that you will publish, right? So really not getting too much in your head and just like getting things out there, I think is the first thing. And I mean, I'm a big fan of learning by doing. So, start sharing things that you feel comfortable sharing with. Um, like join, like also like, like One Brilliant Arc, join people who know how to turn things into stories and then do it step by step. I think there are like certain techniques and, template kind of things that you can follow that will make it easier for you. And the way I did it is just always give it a try yourself, try things out. Um, Also pivot a little bit if things don't work out. If you follow a certain kind of style of sharing your thoughts or experiences, then give it another twist. For example, I did last year, I had a bit of a summer like it slowed down. Um, and I then in October said, okay, I really, really have to change something. And I started writing those really micro, tiny stories about, things that happened to me in the past. And it changed everything. Like all of a sudden, I got this one note that exploded and got me over 1,000 subscribers. And then, from there, I thought like, oh, this is so cool. So people really really appreciate if you share something that makes them feel something and you create like this emotional connection. Um, so that's how I started and pivoted in between and still learning by doing. That's would be what I recommend for to everybody.
That's awesome. I think there's two things that you said that just really stood out to me. First of all, learning by doing. I think that's one of the ways that we can bring our authenticity to platform building because the templates that someone give you, it might not fit your style. It might not fit what works for you, what feels like yourself. So learning by doing is you figure out, does this work for me? Does this feel like me? And if it doesn't feel right, then you try something else. And
Yeah.
the other thing you mentioned is the storytelling to build connection. It sounds like you found the secret to building a connection with your community where people genuinely wanted to follow your journey and learn more from you because there was that genuine, authentic connection. Do you think that that is the secret to converting an audience into your loyal fans?
Yeah, I mean, I think it really depends on your goal, right? Because I see people out there who are not who don't make it all about themselves, but they really have like, I don't know, valuable, like more of a teaching content to give, right? And I think for them, it's maybe less important to to be authentic and be yourself. So it really depends what kind of person you want to be also online. I think for most writers, it does help to, share their story, and for creatives, because it makes you also connect differently to the words and to the creation. I think if you're, I don't know, teaching AI and just tell somebody how they can, build a good AI agent, then I would say it's maybe a little bit less important. So I think it depends a bit what you write about and your content is. But I think for my personal journey, it has been very, very important also for me to just be so motivated to show up every single day and be there and have people, following me, and following my journey and just connecting. I think my favorite thing is I think I try to do it once a month, but I write in my Wonderworld chat just a super simple question, but I ask people where they write from around the world, like what you did this, in this live session, right? Um, and I tell them, they get bonus points, good karma if they share also a picture of their writing setup. And it's so fun because people really from all over the world share where they're at, where they're writing from. We connect, we see, and I think that's the beauty of it. And that's exactly what I wanted to create. And I'm so happy that people seem to appreciate it as well.
That is so beautiful. I want to give you a moment to just again recognize and say thank you so much for walking the talk really because I know when we first met you reached out to me and you were willing to have that moment of genuine connection and help out someone who was a few steps behind you and help them along the way. And so I just want to thank you so much for sharing that part of yourself with the community and being so willing to give back. And it truly means a lot. Um,
Yeah.
Everyone listening, Claudia is awesome.
Oh no, thanks.
I also wanted to just go back and see everyone what they're putting in the chat. Vanessa said, "Yes, I just share myself as an introvert, and that's how I've built my community." Again, that's beautiful authenticity there. That's exactly what people who need to feel seen are going to connect to. Carolyn said, "Loving this discussion, ladies. Thank you. Thank you, Carolyn, for being here. We appreciate it." Um, and then we have a question here. Refugio, am I pronouncing that right? I feel so bad mispronouncing people's names. Um, you mentioned I find Substack very different from old blogs. Lately, 5 years, I've been writing in personal journals, mostly in Evernote. I have many personal stories, but I'm afraid to share them because I think it would make me feel vulnerable. What do you think? Oh, that's a good question.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, my take on that would be if it makes you feel uncomfortable, then, you can do it step by step. But I think I mean, I don't know what your goal is, but, like a lot of us write also to connect with people and to feel good about ourselves is not the idea, to feel bad. So if you think like this is something that will make you not feel great at the end of the day, then I would be more cautious there. But I think what you could do is really try and find out. You don't have to put it all out there at once. You can really go step by step and share something where you think like, hey, this is vulnerable enough for people to see who I am and connect with people. But it's not laying it all out there where you can feel 100% vulnerable and just too much. So, yeah, just try things out. Go in steps that make you feel good about yourself, and yeah, that's how I would do it.
That's some good advice. I would also add to that, um, there is a cost to authenticity, and that cost is vulnerability. You have to be willing to put yourself out there and open yourself up to judgment. And I've written several articles sharing how scary that is because I've felt it. I feel it every day. And you have to be wise about what you're willing to pay in order to make those authentic, genuine connections. It depends, like Claudia said, on the audience you're trying to build. But also keep in mind that someone out there needs to feel seen by your words. There's some things that only you can say. There's some feelings that only you can share in your voice that will make someone else in the world feel less alone in their experience. So if you think of it that way, it's not just you having to pay the cost of vulnerability, but it's the cost of truly helping someone else who needs to feel less alone in life. Um, so
Yeah.
that helps it all. But again, as Claudia said, we don't know your situation, so definitely only do what makes you feel comfortable. Um,
Yeah.
but hope
You said that so much better than me. So, so follow of advice. It's spot on.
well, thank you. This is what we do all the time at One
Yeah.
Billion Arc. We just encourage people to speak their truth and find ways to connect genuinely with people because it's the storytellers who are going to save our world for the better because those are the people who can really heal hearts. And it's first healing your own heart. I think writing helps you to process what's happened to you and understand your own heart better and heal some of the hurts that you've experienced, but then being willing to be vulnerable and authentic and share those words with someone else is what's going to heal their hearts too. So
Yeah.
that's just something that we really believe here deeply. And I love Substack and connecting with other authentic writers like you, Claudia, because it's so encouraging along the mission with, content creation being so exhausting and draining,
Mm.
and the vulnerability costing so much. It's just such a pick me up to be able to have these conversations and these genuine connections with people.
Yeah. That's wonderful. We
Uh,
have another comment actually.
oh yeah, go for it. I may have missed some.
So Eric's corner said, I teach how Substack treats the different interactions like comment restacks so people understand how the algorithms prioritize them. Yeah, I mean, I think that's that's great. I think Substack at the end of the day is also, for better or worse, a social media platform and it has its algorithms. Although I do think they still try to make it as human as possible. So, I mean, I've been studying also the algorithm now for 2 years. It changes all the time, so I think it's hard to predict, what's going to happen next. I think nobody predicted that they would do a Substack live TV, so that's new. Um, yeah, but that's exciting too. So yeah, but I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's smart to look what works on a platform and what doesn't, right?
That's so true. It's funny too, you were mentioning, the Substack algorithm changing, but also mentioned earlier in our conversation that the different styles of writing online have changed. So it used to
Mhm.
be that how-to articles were, what got ate up, and now it's more authentic, just sharing from your heart. Um,
Yeah,
and I think that fluctuation is like, how can you keep up with it? And it's really just make sure that you're always being true to yourself and writing authentically from the heart. Because
yeah,
people can see through that. There might be different fads that go on, different trends, but the one thing
mhm.
that's going to last is people need that human interaction. They need to feel seen as someone.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And I also think, that's what makes Substack still so special because I've actually, in the beginning of this year, I started my LinkedIn journey. So, I mean, I've been on LinkedIn like for a while, but mostly as observer and, to connect because of my startup and connect more on the business side. And now I wanted to see how it goes if you go there as a solopreneur. So somebody really doing it on their own. And oh my God, I hate it over there. I feel like it's really only AI, like like it's so hard to get one human interaction. It's like one bot talking to the other. And I don't get it. I don't understand how this works. I will try it with, like direct messages. So maybe that makes a difference. But the posts themselves, I'm blown away by much I don't like it. So I'm happy with Substack. I hope it stays that way.
Definitely, definitely. Carolyn threw in another question. How do you figure out an algorithm? That is the question of the day. I have not figured out how to figure out the algorithm yet.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a few things. It's really just looking what works right now. If you look at notes, at posts that go more viral, seeing, who gets really a lot of interaction there. Then also paying attention to what the people working at Substack are posting, like um, so, for example, when my node changed, just before that, the head of machine learning at Substack, he posted about what kind of algorithmic changes they have been doing. So it's a mix of things of really just observing, seeing what works for you, what works for other people, and then also paying attention to what Substack itself announces in terms of changes.
Thank you for sharing those pro tips again. Very helpful. Dennis also agreed our point about LinkedIn. He said that's why I only use it to drive traffic here to Substack. We're in the right place here. I agree. So glad to be here with you guys. Um, as we wrap up for today, um, I'll let anyone else who has more questions drop them in the chat. Um, but I wanted to say thank you so much for everyone who is here. Again, we are in the right place. Thank you so much, Claudia, for taking the time and sharing your wisdom so genuinely here.
For
It truly means a lot. Uh, so, how can listeners learn more from you and be inspired to create their own success stories?
Yeah, I mean, come on over to Wonder Wealth. I have two publications. Wonder Wealth is more for Substack, for community, for writing, and then I have Level Up with AI, which is more about AI and how you can use it in your writing and creating process without losing your voice. Without having another robotic article, but actually using really AI just to support the processes that you don't like to do yourself. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
Thank you. We definitely need more of that too, because I think AI has developed before our understanding of how to use it responsibly and ethically has developed. So it was
Yeah.
already hard for people to find their voices and write from their authenticity beforehand. And now with AI, it's even harder
Yeah.
because you feel like you're just behind the ball. So thank you again for being willing to teach people that. That is a skill that we all really need to learn. And we need people like you to uh, help us all understand. Eric said, Wonder Wealth is amazing. Everyone should check it out. I agree. Thank you again
Thank
so
you.
much.
That's so sweet.
Oh, well, thank you again, everyone, for joining from all over the world. Thank you so much, Claudia. We will talk to you guys next time and make sure to follow along for some more tips and encouragement while you use your authentic voice to tell the stories that the world needs.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Bye,
Bye bye.
everyone.